Ordering fast food at a restaurant, the person cashing you out may be halfway across the world. Yeah, virtual cashiers are popping up in more stores, sparking a conversation on the impact that could have on the fast food and service industry if they were to become more mainstream. For more on this, we're joined by retail expert Doug Stevens. Nice to see you this morning.
Great to see you, Lindsey.
Okay, I need you to explain this a little bit to me because this is not a self-checkout, right? This is a remote cashier. Right. What's the difference here?
Yeah, so if you've called into your cable company or your cell phone provider lately, you know very well that your call is in all likelihood being taken by somebody who's outside the country, maybe in the Philippines, maybe in India. And that's been the case in the telco industry for a long, long time. But now fast food operators are now looking at the same technology, usually in combination with a kiosk. So they want to promote self-ordering or self-service. But if you have a question about the menu, they're basically routing you to someone who may be overseas who is now fulfilling that customer service obligation. And the reason that they're doing it, this is going to come as a real shock, I know, but it's financial. Because the minimum wage, let's say in a place like the Philippines, is $3.75 an hour US, compared to a market like New York City, for example, which is about $16 for minimum wage. So it's a huge financial incentive, obviously.
I would suspect the unions aren't too happy with this.
Indeed.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And it sort of goes to what is the public response here?
Yeah.
And you mentioned unions. Obviously, organized labor is certainly looking at moves like this and other moves into the future as a threat to employment. Consumers too, I think. I saw Freshii was shown in the intro there. Freshii was a company that in 2022 actually tested out this technology and was met with a degree of outrage by consumers, and they actually discontinued use of that technology. So I don't think that there's a high degree of comfort right now among consumers with this either.
And Doug, when I was looking at that footage of, somebody coming up and they're at a fast food restaurant, is that the only places that we're talking here? Are we talking about grocery stores, that type of thing as well, or strictly for sort of fast food locations?
I think that, Lindsey, it's really a progression, and what we're seeing, I mean, if you sort of pan out and you look at this whole issue of offshoring of labor, it's not new. We've seen it, since the 1970s in manufacturing, and then through the 90s and early 2000s when it came to more white-collar jobs like customer service and call centers. And now it's sort of seeping into the fast food industry. But if we look forward, I think there's actually something on the horizon that could be far more dystopian, and that is ultimately the combination of technologies like AI and robotics, which we're hearing about every day, that could essentially very soon take over every job in a fast food restaurant and a lot of other retail service scenarios. So we could be talking about tens of thousands of people who are suddenly unemployed.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Obviously, I don't want anybody not to have a job, but I'm just thinking about a cost structure within a company and the fact that, they're saving money by hiring people who are outside of the country, but then you go a step further, and why not just implement AI at this point?
Well, and this is actually the case. OpenAI, who owns ChatGPT, recently showed an experiment that they've been operating with an AI-infused robot that can not only perform a lot of very basic functions that you would find in a fast food setting or a retail setting, but it also has this weird capability to begin reasoning, to begin to make intelligent suggestions and form intelligent thoughts. So we really are potentially on the brink of something that is going to make what we're talking about today look mild by comparison. So it really raises a lot of not only financial issues. Obviously, companies want to save money and drive that to the bottom line, but it really raises a lot of social issues. What do we do with a country where suddenly entire professions are unemployed? How do we look after these people? It raises the specter of things like universal basic income and programs like that to provide a safety net.
Good point. This conversation continues. It's absolutely fascinating. Doug Stevens, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Lindsey.
Good to have you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.